Imagine waking up one day to find that everyone in the world has become rich overnight. How would that change our lives and the world around us? Ponder on this thought for a moment. Every single person, regardless of where they live or what they do, suddenly finds themselves in possession of an unimaginable wealth. Money is no longer an object of concern. From the crowded streets of New York to the rural landscapes of Africa, from the bustling markets of India to the quiet suburbs of Australia, everyone has more than enough. The immediate reactions would likely be of shock and disbelief, quickly followed by euphoria. People might rush to buy things they've always wanted: luxury cars, sprawling mansions, first-class plane tickets to exotic destinations. The world's most expensive champagne would probably sell out in a matter of hours. But once the initial excitement fades, then what? Would we continue to work at our jobs when we no longer need the paycheck? Would schools and universities still be filled with students when education is no longer a means to a better economic future, but simply a pursuit of knowledge? And what about the economy? If everyone is rich, then who would do the work that makes the world go round? Who would grow our food, build our homes, or take out our garbage? And how would businesses operate when everyone has enough money to start their own? We would also need to consider the value of money itself. If everyone has an abundance, would money lose its value? Could we end up in a situation where everyone is technically rich, but the money is worth so little that it doesn't buy anything? And what about the social implications? Would we become a more equal society? Or would new forms of inequality emerge? Would wealth still be a measure of success and status? Or would we find new ways to differentiate ourselves? This is not just about imagining a world of luxury and ease, but also about revisiting our understanding of wealth and its implications. The implications of such a scenario are far-reaching and complex, inviting us to reconsider our relationship with wealth and what it truly means to be rich. In our current society, wealth is unevenly distributed, leading to various economic and social disparities. The world's financial resources are not spread evenly, with wealth concentrated in certain regions and among certain demographics. This financial inequality paints a vivid picture of a world divided by wealth. Let's take a moment to consider this. A small fraction of the world's population controls a significant portion of its wealth. In fact, according to a report by Credit Suisse, less than 1% of the world's population owns almost half of its wealth. This means that the vast majority of people are left with a mere fraction of the world's resources. And it's not just about regions or demographics. Income inequality exists on a national level too. In many countries, the rich are getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is widening, with the middle class often caught in the crossfire. In addition to these economic disparities, wealth inequality also contributes to social disparities. Access to quality education, healthcare, and basic necessities like clean water and nutritious food is often determined by wealth. This means that the poor are not only financially disadvantaged, but also socially and physically disadvantaged. Now let's talk about poverty. Despite considerable advancements in technology and global living standards, poverty remains a persistent problem. Over 700 million people live in extreme poverty, struggling to survive on less than $2 a day. This is a stark reminder that for a significant portion of humanity, the dream of wealth remains just that, a dream. Inequality and poverty are not just numbers on a page. They have real, tangible effects on people's lives, affecting their opportunities, their health, and their happiness. They create a world of haves and have-nots, where one's birthplace or background can determine their future. Clearly, our present world is far from the scenario of universal wealth. But what would happen if this scenario became reality? Scene script. An overnight wealth boom for everyone would certainly shake up our global economy. Picture this: every person on Earth suddenly flush with cash. The first impact would be a dramatic shift in consumer behavior. The spending spree would be unprecedented. Money, no longer a constraint, would open up a world of possibilities for every individual. But this surge in buying power wouldn't come without its pitfalls. With everyone racing to purchase goods and services, demand would skyrocket, leading to a sharp increase in prices. This is a phenomenon known as inflation, and it's not as friendly as it sounds. When prices rise too quickly, it can destabilize an economy. The value of money decreases, and suddenly that newfound wealth doesn't stretch quite as far as it initially seemed. In this world of universal wealth, industries would need to adjust rapidly. Some sectors, like luxury goods and high-end real estate, might initially thrive. After all, everyone can now afford that mansion on the hill or that shiny new sports car. But what happens when everyone has the mansion and the sports car? These industries could become saturated, leading to a potential collapse. On the flip side, industries that rely on a lower income demographic could struggle. Fast food chains, discount stores, budget airlines, their appeal lies in their affordability. But in a world where everyone's a millionaire, who's eating at the dollar menu? And let's not forget about the finance industry. Banks and lending institutions rely heavily on the interest collected from loans. But in a world where everyone has ample money, who needs to borrow? The very foundation of these industries could be shaken. But it's not all doom and gloom. A universally wealthy society could also mean a surge in investments, potentially fueling innovation and progress like we've never seen before. These changes in economy would echo through every aspect of our lives, from what we buy to where we live. We've only just scratched the surface. The ripple effects of universal wealth would be far-reaching, and their full impact? Well, that's a fascinating question indeed. Wealth doesn't just affect economies, it also shapes our social structures and personal lives. When we think of a world where everyone is wealthy, it's not just the economic structures that would undergo a sea change. The very fabric of our society and the essence of our individual lives could take on a new hue. In a society where everyone has wealth, the traditional social hierarchies might crumble. Currently, wealth is a significant determinant of social status. But in a world where everyone is rich, other factors such as knowledge, creativity, or altruism could take precedence. We might see a shift from a capitalistic society to a meritocratic or even a knowledge-based society. Universal wealth could also lead to drastic lifestyle changes. The concept of work might transform. If everyone has abundant resources, the need to work for survival would vanish. People might choose to work not because they have to, but because they want to. Work could become more about passion and less about earning a paycheck. Leisure activities might become more common, and we could see an explosion in the arts, sports, and other creative pursuits. Moreover, universal wealth could bring about shifts in values and attitudes. The constant chase for wealth and the anxiety that comes with it could disappear. People might start valuing experiences over material possessions. Relationships might become less transactional and more authentic. The focus could shift from individual gain to collective well-being. But let's not forget, this is all hypothetical. In reality, wealth often brings with it its own set of problems, like isolation, paranoia, and the fear of losing it all. It's also possible that new forms of disparity and discrimination might emerge. After all, humans have an inherent tendency to create hierarchies and to differentiate themselves from others. In essence, universal wealth could radically redefine our social fabric and personal identities. It's fascinating to ponder on such a scenario, but it's equally important to remember that wealth is just one piece of the puzzle. The pursuit of happiness and fulfillment goes far beyond material prosperity. Scene script. Like any dramatic shift, universal wealth would present both challenges and opportunities. With wealth flowing freely, the challenges that surface might surprise us. Imagine the potential disparities. If everyone is wealthy, would the concept of wealth itself lose its meaning? Would we witness the birth of a new social hierarchy based on factors other than financial status? Perhaps the prestige once associated with wealth would shift to those who can innovate, create, and contribute most effectively to society. The universal spread of wealth could also challenge our current understanding of motivation and work. When basic needs are no longer a concern, would individuals still strive for achievement? Or would we see a shift in what motivates us, moving away from financial gain towards more intrinsic values such as personal growth, creativity, and social impact? On the other hand, the opportunities are equally profound. Universal wealth could be the key that unlocks the door to global issues such as poverty, education, and healthcare. Imagine a world where no child has to go to bed hungry, where every individual has access to quality education, and where healthcare is not a privilege, but a right. This could potentially level the playing field, allowing every person to reach their full potential, regardless of their background. Moreover, with the financial anxieties alleviated, individuals may have more time and resources to invest in themselves, their passions, and their communities. This could lead to an explosion of creativity, innovation, and social progress, transforming our world in ways we can't even begin to imagine. However, it's crucial to remember that wealth alone cannot solve all problems. Issues such as discrimination, prejudice, and social injustice are deeply rooted in society and require more than just financial solutions. While universal wealth could solve some problems, it could also create new ones. Therefore, it's essential to approach this hypothetical scenario with a critical eye, understanding that wealth, while powerful, is but one piece of the puzzle in our pursuit of a better world. This thought experiment about universal wealth can teach us some valuable lessons. As we dissect this hypothetical scenario, a few significant truths rise to the surface. Firstly, wealth is relative. If everyone had the same amount of resources, the concept of being rich would lose its meaning. It's the scarcity of resources that creates value. And if everything is abundant, then nothing is unique or special. It's a simple principle of supply and demand. Secondly, the pursuit of prosperity is an innate human drive. It pushes us to innovate, to strive, and to evolve. But what happens when prosperity is a given? When there's no need to compete, to work, or to aspire to something more? Would we lose our drive, our purpose, our motivation? Or would we find new ways to challenge ourselves, to grow, and to find fulfillment? Thirdly, this scenario highlights that wealth is more than just material possessions. It's about having the freedom to make choices, to pursue passions, and to enjoy life's experiences. But without the contrast of hardship, would we still appreciate our blessings? Or would we take them for granted, losing our sense of gratitude along the way? Lastly, happiness is not solely dependent on wealth. Sure, money can provide comfort and convenience, but it doesn't guarantee contentment. Studies have shown that beyond a certain point, additional wealth doesn't significantly improve happiness. It's our relationships, our health, and our sense of purpose that truly contribute to our well-being. In essence, this thought experiment underscores the complex relationship between wealth, happiness, and the pursuit of prosperity. It challenges us to question our assumptions about success and to reflect on what truly matters in life. Even in a world of universal wealth, it's clear that money isn't everything. As we navigate through our own journeys, let's remember to value the intangible riches, the experiences, relationships, and personal growth that truly enrich our lives. So what would happen if everyone became rich overnight? It's a complex question with no easy answers. We've delved into a hypothetical world of universal wealth, exploring its potential impact on economies, social structures, and individual lives. We've considered the redistribution of wealth and changes in consumer behavior, and how industries such as finance, real estate, and luxury goods might be affected. We've also pondered the challenges and opportunities that could arise from such a scenario. Would it lead to a more equitable society or create new disparities? How might it affect global issues like poverty, education, and healthcare? And finally, we've encouraged critical thinking about the implications of this situation. What lessons can be learned about the nature of wealth, happiness, and the pursuit of prosperity? While we may not all become rich overnight, we can all strive to understand the role of wealth in our lives and society. Thank you for joining this thought journey with us.